되겠는데?
쓱 밀어.
The shadows were dancing on the building's golden light when the sunset glowed.
Bustling streets and busy traffic, walking hand in hand on our way home.
The roads were drawn like something certain, every turn laid out so clear. Felt like love, looked like forever, but I fear we had a paper town. Look good till the ink ran out. I guess we ended too soon. We painted bright blue skies. You were never truly mine. Our maps been torn